Right, hello lads and lasses and welcome back to Boys Down Under. We're 5-1. Well, that isn't the greatest result of all time. In fact, the scoreline is quite shocking, rather though the performance does not, I'd say, reflect that. More just a tale of two ends, and by that I mean a tale of two ends in front of the goal mouth. Before we go any further though, if you guys are enjoying the content and you want to help support the channel, the very best way to do so is to click that like button and click that subscribe button. But without further ado, let's get into it. So, while it wasn't the result we were looking for on the final match day, regardless that it didn't mean anything, at least we are not the worst team ever in the Champions League, officially. And I don't have much to comment on the game. You know, Jota scored a great free kick, fair play for him for that. We missed our second penalty in 2 games, so we always complain about never getting penalties, but, you know, we just don't seem to take advantage of them when we do. You know, move on, come back stronger next year. I think yet again, it was same old. Our inability in front of net let us down. We had 2 less shots on target than Real Madrid, yet they scored 4 more goals than us. It's Celtic. It is what it is. We come back next year and we do better. But that isn't the topic of the video, because rather, why talk about a dead rubber game in which we lost? There is no point in that at all, and it is absolutely boring, to say the least. Yet I will talk about the squad, because it's all about Celtic's squad today, because there's so many things happening right now. It's a bit hard to keep up. I've struggled to keep up. I finished my exams, but now we will get back in time, and I will give my thoughts and opinions on all the recent developments in the past days regarding Celtic's squad. And we'll start with the news around Cameron Carter-Vickers. Obviously, he missed last night's clash against Real Madrid, left home in Glasgow, not for any disciplinary issues, but rather he is injured. Now, what extent is the injury? Ange said it's not too bad. Probably could have played him, but wanted to keep him safe so he can play on the weekend due to the fixture congestion. Now, last time Ange said that, it was about Jota, and he ended up being out for 2 whole weeks. So what does that tell you? Not to take his word, because he's a bloody liar. He's a cheeky liar, Ange is. A cheeky man. Anyways, regardless, we have to look to this weekend against Dundee United. Will Carter-Vickers be available? I hope so, because we're shambles without him. It's clear that our defence really can't cope if he is not there leading the back 4. Now, if he isn't available, you'd think it's a serious issue, because Ange said he'd be available, but he isn't, like Jota was for 2 weeks. So it's more of a thing that we'll have to play by ear when Ange gives his press conference a couple hours, 24 hours beforehand. And I think it's some food for thought. It didn't matter. There was no point in risking him against Real Madrid, even if, he is, like Ange says, pretty much available, but didn't want to risk him. But that was the same case with Jota for 2 weeks. I keep going back to the Jota thing just because it's a bit cautious. Play it by ear with this one. Anyways, moving on, contract talks. Now, it was reported earlier this week by Sky that Celtic were in talks with both Georgios Giacomakis and Lee Alabada over contract extensions. Now, currently they both have contracts lasting until 2026. However, the club is set to reward both of them with new 5-year contracts, replacing the old ones that now last until 2027. So there's not an extension, but it is tearing up the old contract and starting a new one. So necessarily, happy players equals happy squad equals good morale equals wins equal happy fans, happy club, everything is good. So if the players are happy, everyone's happy. That is the bottom line. And I think these contract negotiations are warranted. I think both Liel Abada and Georgios Giacomakis do deserve certainly a wage increase at the least. Liel is currently on £16,000 a week and Georgios just under £13,000 a week. So they are nowhere near Celtic's top earners at all. They're rather in the midfield. Georgios is actually in the low side. So I do think it is very warranted that they do get a wage increase. Their performances do deserve it. Although, Liel Abada not in the best form right now. However, as we've seen, since they both arrived at Celtic, they're quality and they have a lot to offer to this team. Now, where does that extra wage come? Probably from James McCarthy, who is probably going to have his contract shipped out in January to some team who is willing to give him a chance. Most likely south of the border but probably not the Premier League. I don't think that if he ends up getting a contract at a Premier League team, I will be absolutely flabbergasted. Anyways, these 2 extra deals do last until 2027, so that will keep Leo Labata at Celtic till he's around 24, 25, and that will keep Georges Giakoumakis at Celtic till he's around 31 or 32 years old. Now, do I expect both to be at the club come that time? No, I think we have to be realistic in football. Leo Labata will be cashed. He's got a lot of value to him. I think he will be swooped up by a bigger fish very soon. Georges Giakoumakis, I'm not too sure actually. He could very well stay at the club till he's 32. Look at Karim Benzema. He's at Real Madrid. He is like 36 now. Oh no, maybe a bit old. 34, I believe. But still, he is kicking it and is arguably the best striker in Europe at the moment at 34 years old. So age is just a number. And if Georges keeps firing, there is no point in that. Don't fix what's broke. No, sorry. Don't fix it if it isn't broke. Exactly. If he ain't broke, don't fix it. Georges Giakoumakis certainly ain't broke right now. And with this contract extension and wage increase, I don't think he'll be going broke anyways anytime soon. So, yeah, an extra year where these players, an extra year for Celtic in case these players get swooped up and we can receive a transfer fee for their values and for the investment we've put into them. Fully warranted, fully deserved. Great bit of business from Celtic, if you ask me. Now, into the third point, Yuki Kobayashi. I hope I've pronounced the last name right. Now, I am for sure certain I've pronounced the first name right, as I do commonly associate the name Yuki with Yuki Tsunoda of AlphaTauri in the F1. Regardless, though, I think if things are going as the reports are saying, I think there will be a new Yuki in town. And it appears that Celtic have agreed with Yuki Kobayashi at personal terms, and they have submitted a formal offer to Vissel Kobe, although it has not been fully agreed yet. They have submitted that offer, according to the reports. Now, there's no need to scout him. We all know who he is. I'm very late to the party. He is a 22-year-old left-sided, left-footed centre-back who really is only 6 foot tall, so he isn't the biggest lad. But you look at Cameron Carter-Vickers, he isn't the biggest lad either, but he still wins most aerial battles. Anyways, I think we are set to expect a similar announcement to what we received earlier in the year on New Year's Day, when all 3 Japanese signings were announced on the same... Bless me, lads and lasses. When all 3 were announced at the same time with that. Now, 3 of the 4 current Japanese players at Celtic have had success. The only one being Yusuke Itaguchi, who really has struggled with injuries, and he's stuck behind so many other players in terms of the pecking order at the club. Now, with Ange signing another centre-back, it certainly raises my eyebrows, because we have CCV, who is irreplaceable. We have Moritz Jens, who right now is filling in great. Carl Starfelt to return. I do expect Ange to return to his favoured centre-back pairing of Starfelt on the left and CCV on the right. Not to mention Stephen Welsh in the ranks, and also Liam Scales out on loan. So here's what I'm trying to decipher. Now keep in mind, I don't think all of these things will happen, but there's certainly going to be some knock-on effects or reasons for Ange wanting to bring in another centre-back. Now, the first one, and this is the worst theory of mine, because this is the one everyone's going to hate. Ange is preparing for the worst in that a big money club will come and snap up CCV in the upcoming windows. Obviously, that is the worst case scenario. I don't want that to happen at all. He is on here on a multi-year deal. He loves it at Celtic. I don't want to see him leave because he is the reason we don't lose a lot of games and don't drop a lot of points. He is crucial to Celtic's success. So that is the worst theory in terms of opinions. I hate the theory myself, but I had to mention it. It is something you need to mention. The second theory is that Jens may not have his loan move made permanent. I think this is much more realistic. Maybe there's a sense back behind the scenes that Ange does not want Jens at the club following the season, despite Jens's public affection for Celtic. I'm not too sure what I think of that, because Ange obviously loves having great depth in all his positions, but at the same time, bringing in Kobayashi may just kick Jens out of the squad if he wants to keep someone like Stephen Welsh happy. And that is a mysterious case with Stephen Welsh. Because if Jens stays permanently, Kobayashi comes in, he is behind 4 defenders for a centre-back spot, but Ange still doesn't want him to go, nor does the club. So it's going to be very odd to see what happens with Stephen Welsh if Kobayashi does come in. Does that mark the end of his time at Celtic? Someone who I've tipped personally that could have gone on to become a future Celtic captain and stalwart at the back for Celtic. So that will be interesting to see. And Liam Scales, I think this is the most obvious thing. If Kobayashi does come in, Liam Scales isn't returning to Celtic. That's done. He will stay at Aberdeen permanently, or he will come back to Celtic for a short time before being loaned out again or sent out permanently again. Now, looking at Kobayashi, right? And this brings me back to the Jens point. Kobayashi is 22 years old, so he is a future player. Stephen Walsh, same age. He is only 22. He is a player for the future. Moritz Jens, 1 year older. He is only 23. He is still very, very young, and we can sign him permanently for a cut price deal of like 1.5 million, I'm sure, at the end of his loan. Cameron Carter-Vickers, only 2 years older. He's 24 years old. Very young backline, apart from Starfelt, who is in 28 now, I believe. Still, though, very, very interesting, because if we do bring Kobayashi in, which I have no complaints about, I think it's a very, very tactical signing from Celtic, because he's clearly not a physical brute, but he's a ball-playing centre-back, something Ange really, really favours, because as Celtic like to play out from the back. So don't get me wrong, really cool signing, but at the same time, we're very much in the dark as to what this means for Celtic's other centre-backs, because there is a lot of uncertain futures. You know, I think Starfelt will stay regardless. Cameron Carter-Vickers, the only reason he'll leave is if a big club comes in with a mammoth record-breaking offer. Jens may not get signed permanently. Stevie Walsh might be the end of his time at Celtic, the boyhood centre-back. Really interesting to see. This could shake up Celtic's defence. And yeah, I don't think we'll see too much more. I think maybe some rumours will start in the coming weeks, because obviously with this pretty concrete rumour, I think it's almost certain to happen we will bring in Kobayashi. If that does happen, do expect some rumours about the future of other players at Celtic, but we won't know much until the transfer window rolls around, which is only 2 months away. But that is all from me. So if you guys did enjoy the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, leave in the comments below your thoughts on anything spoken about in the video, the contract extensions, especially this Kobayashi situation in regards to Celtic's other centre-backs. Let me know, and until next time, hail, hail.